welcome to Verbal Picture Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are every day. People like to welcome y'all to the show. You know how we do it around this time. I'm somewhat excited today. How can I say? Why am I excited today? Matter of fact, let me put these headphones in real quick so you all can get a understanding of what I'm talking about, and I can hear you all clearly, or you can hear me clearly. Why am I excited? As you all know, I did a post not too long ago about the conversation I had with a white man, and we at the end of it, we realized that we wasn't going to agree. Right? We couldn't agree because one, which I may have been wrong, I was trying to get him to have empathy towards the struggle of the black man and woman in America since 1555, right? And 1555, I heard Mr. Farrakhan was the first person that I heard teach this, and I went and researched it, was when they brought the first slaves to America on a slave ship called Jesus by Sir John Hardy Hawkins. Right. And he had no empathy towards the plight of black people in America and the struggle of black people in America just to be equal citizens, right? Just to be treated as equals or treated as just human beings. There was no empathy. Every time I discussed, I said, well, what about the rape and torture of black women? Comment, well, if you're going to live in the past, we'll never get anything done. I said, okay, I see where this is going. Then he'd go back and say that the white man brought civilization to Africa as far as the white man taught Africa. But he made a comment earlier prior to that stating that anybody who went to high school would know these things. And I'm like, wow, okay, so not only are black children ill-informed of their history, white people are ill-informed of their history as well. He actually thought that Europe taught Africa. And I'm dealing with Mr. Wolf. And the reality is that the Egyptians taught the Greeks, and the Greeks taught the Romans, right? But the knowledge that Egypt was running on, that knowledge was being taught in Nubia first, right? And so I'm sitting here saying, wow, you don't know the planet's history. He only knows that Columbus discovered America, or what was taught to him by his fathers, and don't realize that they had a purpose for teaching white supremacy in order to give strength, courage, and pride to the newfound name of white people. As Brother Cliff pointed out, that the term white wasn't widely used until 1681. But prior to that, the Germans, the Scots, the Dutch, Irish didn't call themselves as white. They just saw that it was more feasible to unite under the term white, and every nationality that Europe nationality saw that it'd be beneficial for them to stay on code and deal with each other as a brotherhood and unite, and within that unification they can conquer the darker people of the planet Earth, because they were lockstep. They were a united force. Let's put it like that. And so I'm listening to his mindset, and every point, even I brought up Egypt. I brought up the richest man that ever lived was Mansa Musa. I mean, a array of topics, and no matter what, he could not allow himself, one, to agree and admit the atrocities that was done to black people in America. Now, why is this? Because if he did admit that those atrocities was done by his ancestors, and the fact that he's benefiting today from those atrocities, then he knows, okay, if I admit that, then there would have to be some kind of reparations. There would have to be something done to right the wrongs that was caused by his ancestors, which allowed him to benefit from that today. And that's the problem. No matter how true the truths were, matter of fact, showing proof, still couldn't pin him to the wall to say, okay, it was true, I recognize it, let's deal with it. No, they cannot. He could not do it. Fought every step of the way. Right. And I'm like, okay. Then he even got to the point to where he said, well, I was beat up. Now, listen his words. If it's true or not, I was beat up and robbed by 3 black men, right? Now, but after they beat me up and robbed me, I didn't call them niggas or thugs. His word, right? I said, okay, well, countless. I said, you were able to walk away from that ordeal, even if it happened. But I doubt it even happened, right? You were able to walk away from that ordeal. What about black men who reached to show their concealed handgun license that the officer asked for, and they reach to get it, the officer kills them? That's death. They can't come back from that. Life is gone. You can't bring that life back. Right. Now, he'll say, well, if they was obeying the law, or, they must have did something wrong, right? Because he can't, it's that code, it's that white unity. He can't say that was a jacked up act on behalf of the officers, and that officer need to be arrested for murder, put in jail. They'll never go that far. Then they'll say, well, you have, there's one bad apple. You have some that are, and I'm like, wow, man, do you know the amount of black people that have been murdered by police officers, shot, evidence planted on, for the ones that you see, and then there's the ones that you don't see. Have you ever seen the complaints that was filed on these officers? And you say it's a few. That would in details that it was just a handful of black people that was murdered by the police, right? And it's more than a handful. I was just a handful of black people that may have, had some injustices done to them. When you look at the numbers and you look at the statistics, that was done by more than just a few bad apples. Hell, the proof is in the pudding. Hell, the police department is plagued with bad officers or racist cops or whatever terminology you want to deem it. The question is, no, I take that back. It's not a question. The fact is, people are fed up and they're ready for it to stop. They're not asking anymore, as is the problem, because it's like when you ask for so long and you ask and you ask and you ask and you ask, then it becomes to a point. You know what? I'm not asking no more. To hell with that. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna just take my justice, because the people that I'm asking for justice from, either they're unwilling to listen to my cries, or they have no empathy for the atrocities that are being done to me, or they just don't give a damn, or they don't see me as a human being. Right. And when it gets to that point, then it becomes, you know what? This is what I'll do. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to treat myself with respect and dignity. And I will not allow male or female treat me other than a creation of Almighty God Himself. I exalted everything at my disposal to show a people that I want justice. I marched. I sung songs. I cried. I did everything possibly that I know how to do to demand and expect justice under the law. I've been met with so much resistance till it's affecting me to where I think I'm crazy for even expecting this system to give me justice when they showed me better than they could tell me. So the question now is, where do we go from here? Now, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, his student minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, speaks of separation. Separation. Even in my dialogue with a white man by the name of Wolf, and I call him Mr. Wolf because I don't want to give his whole name out. I said, you know what? It's best that we separate. When two people looking at the same thing and cannot agree upon it, it's time to let it go. It's time to separate. His reply was, no, it just takes strong men. This is the reply. It just takes strong men and strong women to work it out. And there's a problem with that, right? Who do he know who would be considered as a strong man or strong woman to work out a 400-year-old race problem in America in a short amount of time? See, that's wishful thinking, and that wishful thinking, no, I take that back. That's not wishful thinking. You know what that is? That's just a blanket to throw over the situation so it can hide it for a while and not really deal with the issues. So they throw a blanket over the situation and just leave it at that. And that's the problem, right? Because they'll put a smile, say something witty or catchy, try to put black folks back to sleep while business as usual. Because his words were so shallow, and the reason being is he didn't have any plan of action to back up the words. He never said, in order for to work out the race problem in America, why don't we start off by giving black people reparations? He didn't say that. He didn't say, in order to work out the race problem in America, right, why don't we sit down in a forum and let's tell each other what we don't like about each other and see if there's some validity to it. Right? Didn't say that. Meaning, he didn't come up with a mathematically sound solution. All he had was good sounding words to use as a blanket cover over the situation so we can go back to sleep and they can continue business as usual and enjoy their white privilege. Simple as that. Because they've been fed that diet for generations. I'm not saying that it's their fault. No, I'm saying you've been fed a diet for generations, and in your mind you believe it so you act out on it in the public. But what people fail to realize is that the once victims was never really victims. Right? The once so-called victims was suffering from a lack of knowledge, right? And why was the once victims suffering from a lack of knowledge? Because they made it a law for the so-called quote-unquote victims not to be able to read or write. And I'm talking about black people. That was on the books. To give them a head start while they was sucking up books, writing books, and teaching their children while they held us off. So by us not having a proper knowledge in a new system, not the fact that we didn't have knowledge, because you could have took us back to Ghana, Egypt, Middle East, North Africa, and Timbuktu, and we were very knowledgeable in those geographical locations where we stemmed from, right? But kidnapping the people, uprooting them, and then planting them in a foreign land with a new language and new people, then of course they would have to catch up and educate themselves. But if education was deprived and wasn't allowed, then how could they educate themselves to deal with these new people on an equal plane? It's impossible. It just wasn't going to happen. So these quote unquote victims were victims in a sense because knowledge was kept from them. So the people who was operating in their language, right, within their knowledge of understanding, was able to create a circuit to where they can do business and slave trade and cotton and the whole nine and make money and not even share the money. It wasn't indentured servitude. It wasn't any of that. It was just cold-hearted, brute, murderous slavery, whether indentured servitude, like the indigenous people practice and participate in. This was cold-blooded murder, slavery, right? So the quote-unquote victims trying to figure out, well, what does this mean? What is this? And then the ones that were indoctrinated earlier could teach them some words and teach them, okay, this is how you do over here. This is, give them the, that's like when you enter a job for the first time and you got a job instructor and they come and give you the rundown on how things work around here because you're brand new, you don't know nothing, you trying to figure out. We didn't even know the language, so that had to be taught, and it was a process and whatnot. And all this time, the English-speaking one, i.e. the colonizer, right, he's able to run amok throughout society, raping women. The law was on his side, calling his cousins from Europe to come to America. We'll give you free land, and matter of fact, we'll throw a slave in with it, let's build, and so on and so forth, right? And when you bring these facts up to people like Mr. Wolf to show the foundation where it started from and why it is the way it is to this very day, every fiber in his being could not accept that fact and deal with it. Couldn't. So it goes back to my point, to where now what once was a lack of knowledge, now these people, former slaves, black men and women in America, have knowledge, right? But the white person is still functioning on false knowledge that was taught to him that was passed down to him from generation to generations, thinking that we are still in that same state of mind that they forced us into when they first brought us over here. So they still trying to treat us as if this was 1555. Right? And that's the problem. And we're saying, hey, dude, what are you doing? What's going on? Can't just, police, what's going on? You just can't pull out a gun and start shooting people in the back. You can't ask people that they can see a handgun license and then murder them. The hell, what's going on? You can't, you can't put your knee on a man's neck and then choke him till he dies. What the hell is wrong with you? And they don't get it. They're like, this is what we always did. This is what we was taught to do. This is the system. And the people like, now, idiot, the whole world is looking at you. You can't be killing unarmed black men like this was the damn 1600s, fool. What the hell is wrong with you? Right? But it's like the conversation I had with Mr. Wolf. They can't change it. They can't stop. They don't. No one has came and put that new program into that old, for lack of a better term, into that old robot. The robot still got the same programming, right? And no one knows how to go in and deprogram it, right? So they upset with Trump. They saying Trump, instead of trying to heighten the old program, why don't you download them a new program, a more compassionate, more program where people are more civil towards each other? And he's like, no, because I like them just the way they are. Now, they say, wow, let's look at these protests. Well, why are so many white people out saying Black Lives Matter? Well, simply because these are the white people that studied, who went and opened up the books and started reading and figuring out, hey, whoa, wait, there it is. Okay. Well, look, black people, they're saying, you might not ever get reparations from white people. And it's white people talking because they know they people. But some of them saying, well, you know what I can do? At least I can try to help right the wrong and I'll march with you. I'll file that petition to get people such as Jennifer Jeffley, and look up her case, JENNIFER JEFFLEY, to help file a petition to get Jennifer Jeffley justice. Right? People such as that, white folks, you got to get involved in the fight to show at least some sense of, I don't want to say apology because I don't, you know what I mean? Because apologies sound too, I don't know. But some to right the wrong, to show some type of, let's say, empathy or regret of what your ancestors done to the original people of the planet Earth. Now, some people don't like that term when I say the original people. But no, since we're dealing with truth and facts, I can use the term original people. Why? Because melanin is the oldest substance in this universe, which was used to cloak or clothe or house that heat, that energy of the Creator. Yeah. And so when you see melanin, melanin is melanin. I don't care if you in Mexico, Puerto Rico, America, Africa, Haiti, Dominican, Belize, Brazil, Cozumel, melanin, Jamaica is melanin. Now, if you so dumb till you think you separated by landmass, well, I'm you in America, I'm in Haiti. We not brothers no more. We not cousins. We not part of the same family no more because you got certain amount of thousands of miles in between us. So that negates our family bond. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But people think like that. But white folks again, why do people think that way? Because you divided the people up and you put them against each other. Facts. That's why. So when Mr. Farrakhan did the Million Man March, giving you all an opportunity to atone, you should have jumped on it. You should have jumped on it. And he gave black people the opportunity to atone for murdering each other, treating our women bad, allowing rec execs to come in and take over the whole culture and make you start calling black women bitches and hoes, which I'm not no saint. When I jumped out in the music game in 1999, go look at my first album was called Gangsta Blues by Cole Black, COLBLAC, right? And I'm cussing and you know what I'm saying? Hey, it is what it is, but that was the time. But, you know, when you get mature, when you become a man, you do grown man things. You put away childish things. That's a part of the process of growth, development. You know, so we all have to go through that. But I'm just simply saying that it started off as everything, man. I don't care if it's a game, if it's rap music, if it's, I'm talking about in America though, where we had to what we had to create in America to make life better, right? You a slave, we got to invent the cotton gin, right? Cause we're trying to make the job easier. We gotta create a certain style of music. We have to create rap music, but it was all in the beginning on a political or an expressive genre to express the hurt, pain, and ills and injustice that was going on in America with a way to speak out. But just as he done it again, everything that we created, he came, put the patent on, got the money. Or he came, got involved in it, and turned the original course into something that wasn't going to empower black people, but it was going to make some money. So, so he gonna give you a choice. You want empowerment, or you want this money. You want empowerment, or you want this money. Now, folks will say, some will say, nah, shit, man, hell with them niggas, give me this money. But then when the stock market crashes or the dollar drops, then it's like, ah, shit, we need empowerment. You know what? We need unity. Hey, man, you can't run the game, man. I mean, it is what it is, you know. So now we at this state in this present time, and now we saying again, still no justice, no peace, but some are putting actions behind it, and this is going to be an interesting election year process. But as far as black people, no matter who wins, if we don't unite and build and pull our resources together, right, and really work on separation, and it don't matter no way, right? Because Trump nor Biden can do for us what we can do for ourselves. Verbal Pick Radio, we're out.